कंटिन्यू करते हैं हमारे क्वेश्चंस सीक्वल के and make sure that before the interviews you go through all the list of questions that I've shared with your batch. The list is common with between all the batches. There can be some new questions that I might add to the list, but even if I add them, they'll be on the uh, bottom of the list. So it's not like I'm going to add anything in the middle of the list. So just keep on checking. We have 31, 32 questions right now. And if there's any new question, they'll be added. Most likely nahi add honge, but still just keep an eye out. And like I've said earlier too, SQL for data analyst and data scientist are usually asked. Data scientist, if you're mainly applying for product data analyst or product data scientist roles, they expect you to know SQL. Python and all is good, but most of the jobs, for example, I know some people who are in Meta who are on the product side and they're data scientists there. The most important skill that is required for them is SQL. Even if they don't know Python, that's fine, but they are heavily required to know SQL. In some companies, data scientists and data analyst roles are very similar to each other. Okay, so this is one of those cases where data scientists and data analysts are very much overlapping roles, and they heavily use SQL. So if you're applying for data scientist, data analyst roles, you have to know SQL. If you're applying for machine learning, AI engineer, software engineering roles, you might skip SQL. That's not required. But even if you join any company for day to day, you are going to require SQL. Okay. So even if you join as ML engineer or AI engineer, you will be requiring SQL at some basic understanding of SQL. Okay. All right. So the question that we're doing is department has salary and it's tagged as medium. There are a couple of various ways to solve this. We are going to solve it in like 3 or 4 ways, and then I'll discuss each and every one. Okay. So the question says we are given a table called as employee, and this employee table has a few columns here, where ID is the primary column, and then primary key, and then other columns are basically your features or value, other columns that you have there in that table. Then you have other table, which is called as department, and this department has department ID as its primary key. The way employee and department table can be joined with each other are by using this department ID, because department ID is a foreign key of ID in the department table. Okay, so every employee is going to be assigned to a particular department. We have to find out employees who have highest salary in each of the departments. Okay, employee names whose salary is highest in each of the departments. One of the most common mistake many students do is they usually, since they're asking for highest salary in each department, they will do a group by on the department ID here directly. And when they do the group by on department ID and get the maximum salary, yeah, that usually doesn't work directly like that. So you're going to need to have some inner queries. You can also solve it by CTs and all. So we'll take a look at it. Okay. So first question that we have to solve is who are the people in each department with maximum salary. So how do we get that? Or so what is the maximum salary in each department? How do we get that?
Max. Max. Okay.
We can do a max and then we can just get that. Okay, so let's get that. Select max salary from employee table. Okay, employee table, and we're going to do a group by here. Group by department ID. Forget about the other table right now. Other table is not required as of now, because we can also, instead of saying this IT sales and IT and all, we can also get ID here. And then once we get the answer in ID, then we can join it and get the uh, answer from the name, answer in the names also. Okay, so for now, let's just focus on this ID and only one table, employee table. So we can get this maximum salary by just doing this group by on the department ID. And when you run this, it will give you basically the maximum salary. You can check that here. Okay. So for IT department, sorry, department. Sorry. So we need department and the max salary here. So department ID 1, maximum salary 90,000. Department ID 2, maximum salary 80,000. That's the value that is given to sales. Now, what we can do is we have to basically look at this combination 1 and 90,000 in this particular table. Where is that? It is available here. It is available here. That means Jim and Max are having maximum salary for this department ID 1. Okay, we have to get this combination 9,001, 90,001. Okay, for IT. For sales, we have to get this combination 2 and 80,000. So we have to get 2 and 80,000, this combination. Okay, we don't want this because this is not the correct combination. This is the maximum salary tax. We want to get this combination. Since we are talking about getting a combination or getting, a tuple that needs to be matched, what we can do is we can just say this. We can convert this. Imagine that this is going to return you some kind of a list. Okay, and our answer has to be in this particular list. Okay, or the salary and department ID has to be in this particular pair. Okay, so how do we do that? Such that first is department ID, right? Department ID, comma, salary. Yeah. Okay, so department and ID and salary in this particular table that we need. Okay, what are these department IDs tables? Department and salaries. These are coming from which table? These are coming from your employee table. Okay, so let's just select star. Now to get all the employees whose department ID and salary column is present in this particular list. This is going to return you a list of tuples, okay, or list of rows. So it is going to just give you this row, right? So we are taking 1 and 90,000 should match, right? So 1 and 90,000 should match. That's what we are saying. So this whole thing should match with this thing. Okay, and every time that is available, that is basically the employee who's having the maximum salary. So you'll get Jim, Henry, Max. These are the 3 people who are having maximum salaries in the respective departments. Okay, so that is how you do it. This way of filtering or this way of writing inner queries is very common, and it might be asked in interviews in various forms. Okay, just make sure that you don't get confused with the way of usage of this particular thing. Okay, so we didn't do anything fancy here. What we said is whatever result this is giving you, I want to match that result with each and every row of that employee table. Okay, what do we need here in output? We need employee name. Okay, so employee name is name. Okay, so you want to say name as employee. Okay, that's the name. And this is, let's call this E table, employee table. Okay, E dot name as employee. And then from the same table, we need the salary. E dot salary. We can just say salary. There's no ambiguity there. So we, even if we say just salary, that's fine too. So we get name, employee name, and salary. What about the department now? Okay, so we can get the department also here. Department. Okay, but we don't want the department ID. We want the department name. So let's just get department ID for now, and then I'll explain how to get the name. It's a simple join. So let's get the department ID. Department ID. Run this. You get ID, name, and employee salary. Okay. So ID, employee, and the salary. Now this ID can be easily mapped with this particular table, and it will give you the name. So let's just do that. Inner join. Okay. What do you inner join this with? Department. T on e dot, this is your e dot uh, department id is equal to d dot id, and then you don't need this, you just need d dot name of the department. Okay, so that should give you the answer. Now rename it to department. All right, so that matches. Okay, this would work. All right, now there are other ways also solving, other ways to solve this question also. Okay. Let's try to take a look at the other solutions. Any questions in this solution? All right, let's try to write something called as a correlated query. Okay, now correlated queries are usually slow, but that can be one of the solutions here too. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is we have a table outside. Okay, and the columns of this table are going to be used inside an inner query. Okay, inside an inner query. Okay, inside an inner query. Let's try to I'll just take this example and explain it here. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to get the maximum salary. Okay, we need to get the maximum salary for each employee. Okay, maximum salary for each employee. So let's get that. So select max salary. Okay, from employee table. Okay, sorry, we need to get the max salary from this whole table, let's say. So this is going to give you the max salary from this whole table. Okay, so as you can see here, it will give the max salary from that table. Now what we want to do is we want to go row by row. Okay, we want to go row by row and get the max salary for that department. So what we want to do is, so let's say we are in this particular row. Okay, when at this row, we say use this department id. Okay, use this department id which is for this particular row, and filter this particular inner query. Okay, filter this inner query using this department id. So let's do one thing. Let's write an outer query right now and then see if we are able to get it. So select star from employee. Okay, where, okay, look at this. Let's just call this E1. Okay, where your salary is equal to, okay, the salary, okay, the salary is equal to max salary from this employee. Okay, where, okay, let's just call this inner query as E2 now. Okay, E1 dot department. Okay, जो बाहर वाला है उसका department ID has to match with the department ID of this inner query. E2 dot department ID. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do is go row by row. Okay, I go to this particular row, then I see for this particular row the department ID is 1. Okay, if the department ID is 1, I need to check if this is the maximum salary for the department ID 1. What I do, I put a filter on the whole table again. I take the department ID 1 and I say, okay, give me a maximum salary for that department. Okay, give a maximum salary for this one department. it says it is 90,000, which is not equal to 70,000. So this row is skipped. Then it goes to the next row. It says, okay, this is the department ID. Give me the maximum salary for this department ID. It says 90,000. Okay, this matches with this salary, so it gives you the result back. Try to run this, it will give you the answer. Okay. You get Jim, Henry, and Max. You get Jim, Henry, and Max. So these are the three people with the maximum salaries as expected. I won't do the rest of it. The rest of it is very basic. Simply, you just have to do the same inner join and get the name and rename other. Okay. So let's forget that for now. वो आगे का आप कर सकते हैं सब लोग. This is called as correlated query. This inner query is correlated to the outer query that you have here, and these are usually very, very slow. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
this is also known as subqueries, no?
Subqueries are different than correlated queries. Actually.
Okay, sir.
I mean, it can be called as subquery, but sub correlated query is a subcategory of the subquery. So it's more accurately called as correlated query, and it is also part of subquery. So this is also part of subquery. So this is also type of subquery only, or inner query only. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So let's learn about something called as CTE and then see how it can be used here. Okay. Now CTE is a way of simplifying some complex queries. So imagine this query is some kind of a complex query. Okay, I'm not saying it's a complex query, but imagine that this query to be some kind of a complex query. Okay. Now what's happening here is, why is this complicated? Because you have some queries and then you have some other queries which are dependent on this inside query. So what we can do is, we can take this query and store it into a temporary table. Okay, we can take this table and store it into a temporary table or temporary expression in this particular example, and you can basically use that table later on to filter the next table which you have here. Okay, so that is what this common table expression is used for. It is used for simplifying complex queries. It tries to make the common queries more complex queries more readable. If the data is hierarchical, for example, if you have employee IDs and then you want to know who are their managers, and then the managers will have their own managers. Those managers also have their own managers. So these kind of queries are hierarchical data queries, hierarchical data, which can be complex when you try to write them down. So CTs will try to make them simplified. Okay, the syntax is really simple. All we have to do is, we just have to say with, give a name to a CT. Imagine as if you are writing a select query here, and the select query is basically going to return you some result, and you want to name that result as CT name. Or you can give whatever name you want. Okay, so you want to give this uh, table or relation that is returned from the select query some kind of a name, and you do that by using this with name of the CT as an alias, and then whatever query you have in this particular. Okay. So then the result of this query is, imagine, going to be stored into this particular table. Then you can just directly do a select on that above table and you'll get your answer. Okay. You can just do select star as if this table actually exists in the table, exists in the database. Although it does not exist, you named it here, but you can imagine as if the table is present and you can write select queries here. Now the CTs can not necessarily be, for example, this example. Okay, you have one query which is going to return you some result, and you store this result into this particular table. and then you query that table, imagining as if that table already exists in your database. Okay. You can also have recursive CTs. Okay. I think you don't need them in our example right now. So when we need them, I'll explain. Okay. Let's try to understand how to use that here. Okay. Now, what are we trying to do here is we'll just try to simplify the query that we have here. Okay. So हम लोग क्या करेंगे? This inside query that you have, you're going to store this into a CT and then use that CT expression. Okay, and use that CT expression. That is what we want to do. Okay? So let's just do that now. So I'll just write it here. So with, give it a name. So let's call this department wise max salary. That is what it is, right? As select. Yes, I'm just going to copy this whole thing because this is what we need. Select start from and just say department wise max salary. So what a result from this is, it is going to return you that. Okay? Just for sake of simplicity, let's see what the result is, and then we'll try to solve use this result. So ये inner query का result आपके उसमें आ गया. Okay? Now what we can do is we can use this as one of the tables. So let's call this T1, and then we have your employee table. Okay, let's call it T2. Okay, let's call it T2. Inner join. Okay, inner join. What do you want to inner join this on? We want to say let's call this T2 and this T1. Table 1 and table 2. Try to give valid aliases, but yeah, just थोड़ा सा डेटा है तो हम लोग ज़्यादा नेमिंग के पीछे नहीं लगते. On. So T1 dot employee का जो department ID है, that should match with the this department ID. So T1 dot department ID is equal to T2 dot department ID, and दूसरी की क्या है आपकी? T1 dot salary is equal to T2 dot max salary. इसको नाम दे देते हैं मैक्स सैलरी. मैक्स सैलरी. अभी देखते हैं क्या आता है रिजल्ट. गेट द रिजल्ट. अननोन डिपार्टमेंट स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक. So this is what you get. You get Jim, Henry, and Max. That is what is required. That is what is expected. You'll get department ID two times because one is coming from T1, one is coming from T2. ये आपका T2 है और ये आपका एम्प्लॉय टेबल में भी डिपार्टमेंट आईडी है, इसलिए दो बार आ रहा है. Okay, that's fine. What do we need? We need name. Right? We need T1 dot name. We need T1 dot salary. Okay, and we need T1 dot, let's just call department for now. Department ID. This is all we need. Run this, you'll get the answer that you require. Okay, department ID, name और salary. इसको फिर आप replace कर दो, do a inner join and get the name from there. Okay, so that is the same code that we saw earlier. I'll not do that part. Okay, this is what CTEs are used for, common table expressions. Okay, common table expressions used for simplifying complex queries. Important. एक क्वेरी आपके रीडेबल होते हैं, मेंटेनेबल होते हैं. कॉम्प्लेक्स क्वेरीज आप इधर उधर शेयर नहीं कर सकते. आप क्वेरीज के छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स भी टेस्ट कर सकते हो. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर मुझे सिर्फ ये क्वेरी टेस्ट करनी है, आई कैन जस्ट टेस्ट दिस क्वेरी एंड गेट द रिजल्ट. ओके, ये क्वेरी अकेला मैं रन करके चेक कर सकता हूँ कि इफ आई एम गेटिंग द एक्सपेक्टेड आउटपुट और नॉट. आई एम नॉट गेटिंग, देन आई कैन डीबग, एंड डीबगिंग आल्सो बिकम्स इजियर. तो इसको जहां जहां पे सब क्वेरीज आएंगे आपके सब क्वेरीज की जगह पे आप सीटीज यूज कर सकते हैं. The first point they make here can be referenced multiple times, typically used only once. इसका मतलब है कि अगर मैं ये सब क्वेरी यहाँ पर लिख देता हूँ तो फिर ये सब क्वेरी का जो रिजल्ट है वो सिर्फ इसी वेयर क्लॉज के लिए यूज होगा. लेकिन अगर मैं एक बार उसको सीटी के अंदर यूज कर देता हूँ तो फिर ये जो डिपार्टमेंट वाइज मैक्स सैलरी है ये मैं मल्टीपल फेयर क्लॉसेस में लिख दिया ना. यहाँ पर मैंने T1 डॉट डिपार्टमेंट आईडी बोल दिया विद T1 T2 डॉट डिपार्टमेंट आईडी. राइट, ये एक वेयर क्लॉज है ऑन कंडीशन पे, बट दैट्स आल्सो वेयर क्लॉज बिकॉज ऑफ जॉइनिंग फिल्टरिंग के लिए यूज हो रहा है. This other condition, we are again using the same view that we created or same projection that we created there. Okay, there's anything that I missed. Okay, हम लोग क्वेश्चंस करेंगे so it will become more clear. Anyone has any questions in this? Okay, chalo. Let's do this next question. Department wise, top 3 salaries. It's flagged as hard, but जब हम लोग सॉल्व करेंगे we'll figure out that it's not that hard. So आपको क्या करना है, आपके पास एम्प्लॉय टेबल है और एम्प्लॉय टेबल से डिपार्टमेंट वाइज टॉप 3 सैलरीज निकालना है. जब भी आपको टॉप, बॉटम, लास्ट या फिर ये सब पूछा जाता है तब आपके दिमाग में आना चाहिए कि वी वांट टू यूज सम काइंड ऑफ रैंकिंग सिस्टम हियर. ओके, कुछ रैंकिंग होने वाला है यहाँ पर, इस तभी हमको पता चलेगा ना टॉप 3 टॉप 2 वगैरह. और वी वांट टू गेट डिपार्टमेंट वाइज, तो रैंकिंग जो होने वाला है वो डिपार्टमेंट वाइज भी करना है आपको. So we can use some window functions, and the window functions that we have learned till now are like dense rank, rank. We also use row number, correct? So these are few rank based or row number based uh, window functions that we have used. So एक काम करते हैं, we let's try to use that. Okay, and what we can do is let's try to rank this employee table. Okay, let's try to rank this employee table and their department salaries. Okay, let's try to rank the employee table and the department wise salaries. So let's try to do that. Select, I'll just say name of the employee, salary of the employee, department ID of the employee, and let's just say I want to get we want top 3, right? Let's just check if they are saying overlapping or who has salary in the top 3 salary. Right, which high, who are high earners in each salary. Top 3 unique salaries for that department. Okay, they're saying unique salaries. Okay. तो आईटी डिपार्टमेंट में से 4 लोगों का आंसर आ गया, क्योंकि जो और रैंडल इन दोनों का 85,000 है. ठीक है, तो व्हाट द क्वेश्चन सेज इज यू वांट टू गेट द यूनिक आईडीज आल्सो. ठीक है, और टॉप 3, तो दैट इज कॉमन. ठीक है, तो लेट्स इसका मतलब आपको जो रैंकिंग चाहिए उसमें कोई गैप्स नहीं चाहिए. लाइक वन अगर वन के साथ में मैच होता है तो वन वन के बाद में फिर से टू आना चाहिए. अगर वो गैप वाला चाहिए होगा तो यू नीड रैंक, but we need dense rank here. Okay, we need dense rank here. Dense rank. Okay, now this dense rank is basically a window function, and that we want to do it over a certain window. Okay, what is the window? We want to do it over the department ID. Okay, so let's just call it partition by department ID. Partition by department ID. That is not enough. We also want it to be ranked, right? So in order for it to be ranked, it has to, we have to give an order. So order by salary. What should this order be? This is a top. So you want this to be in a descending order. Now let's try to get the ranks for each of the employees that we have. Let's try to see what the table result returns are, and then we'll from there try to solve it. It's तो ये आपको मिलता है, इसको मैं रैंक बोल देता हूँ. सो आपको क्या मिल गया? नेम ऑफ द पर्सन, सैलरी, कौन से डिपार्टमेंट का, और उसका रैंक क्या. इफ यू चेक दिस आंसर, यू बेसिकली गॉट Joe, Henry, Sam. Okay, you got Joe, Max, Randy, and Will. Okay. Joe, Max, Randy, and Will. You want to filter out this person. Okay, you want to filter out this person. Now, if you see, why do you want to filter out that person? We want to filter out that person because his rank is 4 and we want top 3 only. Okay, हमारा फोकस क्या, टॉप 3, और इसका रैंक कितना है, 4. सो हम इसको फिल्टर आउट करना है, तो इसको फिल्टर आउट करना है तो क्या करेंगे हम लोग? We can just do clean and simple. Let's put ID also here. ID भी रख देते हैं. Okay. So we can do multiple things here. We can add more conditions and all. So just to keep it simple, and because we have learned CT, let's try to use CT with, let's say, uh, ranked employees as. So we have employees who are ranked here. So we have all the employees who are ranked here. Okay. If I do select start from ranked employees, I'll get the same results back. Okay, I'll get the same result back. Okay, same result back मिल गया हमें. अभी हमें पता है कि रैंक 4 वालों को फिल्टर आउट करना है, तो यहाँ पे फिल्टर रख दो वेयर, तो आर ई बोलता हूँ बिकॉज दे आर रैंक एम्प्लॉइज. आर ई डॉट रैंक has to be less than or equal to 3 to see if this works. Yeah, actually rank जो है that's a keyword also, that's why I'm just going. Okay, that works, it looks like. तो क्या मिल गया हमें? आईटी डिपार्टमेंट के मिल गए, सेल्स के भी मिल गए. ओके, आगे क्या करना है? You just have to do an inner join. Inner join with the department table. Let's call it D. Okay. So we need output में department का नाम. So D dot name. Then employee का नाम. RE dot name. Okay. Then we need the salary. That's all. Let's call this as department. The नाम department चाहिए. इसका नाम salary चाहिए. इसका नाम employee चाहिए. उसका नाम salary है. Salary चाहिए. Okay. Let's go on with this. Oh, sorry, इनर ज्वाइन में हमने ये नहीं लिखा, किसके ऊपर ज्वाइन करना है वो नहीं लिखा. RE डॉट ID, सॉरी RE डॉट डिपार्टमेंट ID इज इक्वल टू D डॉट ID. तो ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं, ठीक है. तो वी गेट द आंसर बैक. सिंपल, समझने में भी इजी. सबसे पहले रैंक, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू गिव द रैंक टू ईच ऑफ द रोज, and after that add a rank filter. That's all is required here. Let's edit this and see if this works. Okay, it works. Take a look at this and let me know if you have any questions. All right, sure. Let's do the next question. Rising temperature question. It is called percent rate. Let me check that now. It's called rising temperatures managers with. What's the questions coming on? Look up. All right. So the question says, eh, you're given some table called as weather table, and in this further table, you are given some columns, ID, record date, and the temperature. So to write the solution to find the date IDs with higher temperature compared with its previous day, that is yesterday. If you take this table, then this is first, this is second, and this is third. Third is having temperature greater than the yesterday. But this ID2 is having temperature greater, lower than the yesterday. Sorry, just waiting, talking rubbish here. So what we are having here is second. ID is 2 ka temperature at 25 and earlier day's temperature is 10. So that's why this is going to be in our answer. So we got 2 here. Then you got 3 where the temperature dropped from 25 to 20. So it should not be in the answer. After that, you went to the next, you saw it is 30. This is again rising. So the temperature is rising. So you return 4 as your answer. Okay. Now, there are no different rows with same record date. Table contains information regarding on certain dates. Okay. So the question says the all you have to do is find out what is the yesterday's temperature, and once you get the yesterday's temperature, you can just take a difference, and then I think you're done, right? And the way we do that is we have learned about those window functions, lead and lag. Okay, either you can use lead or you can use lag. So because we are talking about yesterday, so we are going to use the lag value. So what is the lag value for this is 10. So lag value 10 यहाँ पर लिख के आना चाहिए. Let's try to do that. Can we do that? So select, let's take ID, record date as is, and the temperature. Sure. Okay. And we want to get the lag by 1, correct? And we want to lag which column? We want to lag the temperature column, let's say. So we want to lag temperature column by 1 over. Okay. The order has to be by the record date. I want to get the yesterday's date. We'll just call this yesterday temperature. So this is yesterday temperature from weather table. Let's try to see what we get here. Order by. Okay. So what did we get here? We got the lagged values now. Okay. So this is 25 current and yesterday is 10. That means this has increased. So this should be in the answer. You check this and this. This is smaller than yesterday. So this should not be in the answer. This and this. So this is smaller than yesterday. So this should be in the answer. Again, you can use CTs here. Okay. So let's just use CT because we learned it with lag temp. I'll just call it lag value, weather as. Okay. Select, just put star for now, from your lag weather. Where, what is the condition that we need? Let's just call this LW. Okay. Where the lag weather dot temperature has to be greater than lag weather dot yesterday's temperature. Right. So that is what we need in the answer. get that. We got 2, we got 4. Okay. So let's just get ID because that is what we require. Okay. यहाँ पर कुछ बोला नहीं है, मिसिंग डेट्स वगैरह है या नहीं, जस्ट ट्राइंग टू सर्च दैट. अगर मिसिंग डेट्स होंगे तो ये लैग ठीक से काम नहीं करेगा बिकॉज दे आर सेइंग यस्टरडेज वैल्यू के साथ ही कंपेयर करना है. अगर डेट्स मिसिंग होते हैं, सो लेट्स से दिस वाज मिसिंग. Okay, let's say this was missing, then the lagged value for this 3 is basically 1, but there's no temperature for 2, right? और यहाँ पर बोला है कि प्रीवियस डे के साथ ही कंपेयर करना है, yesterday के साथ ही कंपेयर करना है. So missing values के बारे में कुछ बोला नहीं है. Let's try to submit this and I guess there are missing values in this and it will fail some of the test cases. Yeah. तो देखो यहाँ पर you have 14 here and you have 16 here. So this is saying temperature is 5 and it says yesterday's temperature is basically 3 और 3 से लेके 5 तक गया क्योंकि हमने यहाँ पर जो रिकॉर्ड डेट है वो कंपेयर नहीं किया. ठीक है, यहाँ पर यस्टरडेज के साथ में कंपेयर करना है. सो वी नीड टू गेट यस्टरडेज डेट आल्सो. सो लेट्स ट्राई टू गेट दैट आल्सो नाउ. तो ये लैग टेम्परेचर के साथ साथ लेट्स गेट यस्टरडेज डेट. Call it yesterday for now. Okay, and we got the yesterday now. ये कौन आंसर जो है उसको टेस्ट केस में ऐड कर देते हैं. ठीक है, so we got the yesterday now. Now the condition that we have to check is and our lag record date. Okay, record date is equal to date add. फंक्शन है डेट फंक्शन से कुछ. आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ थोड़ी देर में क्या है वो डेट फंक्शन. ठीक है, yesterday 1 day ऐड कर दो उसमें, उसमें एक दिन ऐड करते हैं. ओके, एंड देन सी इफ इट वर्क्स. it says think इंटरवल बताना पड़ता है. इंटरवल 1 day. ओके, गलत क्या हो गया. सॉरी, यहाँ पे रिकॉर्ड डेट चाहिए लैग करके. So just lagging the record date. Right? That is what we yesterday. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the date functions and then we'll come back here. Okay. यहाँ पर क्या किया हमने, सिर्फ और सिर्फ रिकॉर्ड डेट जो है उसको बोला कि yesterday में एक दिन ऐड कर दो और फिर कंपेयर करो ये दोनों दिन कंपेयर इक्वल हो जाते हैं. if they are not coming out to be equal, that means we have some missing data here, like this holes in the data. Okay, so that's why we need this date filter or date check. There are multiple ways of solving this. If you don't know about the lag variables, then you can also do a Cartesian product. कि जितने भी records है वो सबका Cartesian product कर लो. I think we solved one of the problems like this, जहाँ पर we try to find out who are the consecutive numbers. Consecutive times one is getting repeated. Okay, so this is very similar to that. Try to solve this question using that concept and see if you are able to solve it. Okay. Now let's try to learn this date. And date. Add and कोई function. SQL server क्या है? That's what I'm saying. SQL server. Nice, nice. ऑलराइट, सो जैसे कि यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है कि डेट ऐड नाम का जो फंक्शन है वो, उसको सबसे पहले डेट, यू हैव टू सेंड अ डेट and then you have to tell what you want to add to it. Okay, what you have to add to it. If you say I want to add 10 days, then what it will do is it will take this date and add 10 days and give you a return date which is going to basically be 10 days after this particular. In our case, what we did is we took yesterday and we added a interval of 1 day, and we are trying to compare that or equal that with the current date that we have in the rules. So the syntax for that is just take a date, value, and then what is the unit that you want to add. Values basically, is it like 15, 1? You can also do minus, and then this date add is basically going to do a date subtract. Okay. Anyways, if you want to subtract the dates, you can use the same function date add. There's a different function called as date sub also, which is going to be used as subtraction. There's one more function called as date diff, which can be used here. Okay, this is going to give you result back in terms of the difference between those two dates. Okay, so it returns the number of days between 2 days. So let's try to use that also. I'll just quickly show you how to use that here. What we can do is we can take date diff. So you can just do this date diff. Next day or future day minus the uh, past date. So future date is basically current date minus the past date. Okay. And this result, this date diff, has to be equal to 1. If it is equal to 1, that means they're consecutive days, right? This is comma actually. Yeah, that means it is a consecutive date, correct? You can also do date diff, you can do date add. Basically, you can use a date function, date functions to solve this particular problem. Okay? ये डेट के सारे फंक्शन है आपके पास में. You can go and take a look at them. अगर आप याद करने जाओगे तो it might be difficult to remember all of these. With practice, you may be able to remember, but yeah, don't try to mug up all of these names. Maybe questions के साथ में, for example, when we solved this question, we solved using date diff and date add both. You can also solve it by using date subtraction. Okay, and that might help you remember all of those things easier. Date function. We're going to send you this. Then take a look at it. Just flag it till date add. Okay, let's quickly check this next question. Manager with at least 5 direct reports. At least 5 direct reports. You have an employee table, and in this employee table, you're given employee IDs, names of the employee, department to which they belong to, and who are their managers. Okay. So, for example, Dan, his manager is 101. Who is 101? John is 101. James, his manager is again 101. Who is 101? John is 101. We want to find out people. Okay, we want to find out the name of people who have at least 5 direct reports. Okay, they have at least 5 direct reports. Okay, so what we can do is, first of all, let's try to do one thing. ये जो manager ID है, okay, let's try to figure out how many people are reporting to this particular manager ID. How do we do that? We can just collect all of the manager IDs and count number of rows that we have. That will give us this 101 is getting reported maybe by whatever number of rows it has. So let's find out how many uh, people are reporting to that manager. Okay, so how do we get that? Select manager ID. You just say count. Say count one or count whatever you want. Or you can just say count ID. Let's say we want to count the number of employees. Okay. Uh, reports. Okay, these are the direct reports. Direct reports की बात हो रही, indirect की बात नहीं हो रही. These are the direct reports. Group from employee table. Group by manager ID. Let's try to run this and see what we get. We should get manager ID and total number of people reporting to that manager. Okay. So we got null and there's only one direct report to that. We got 105 and there are 5 direct reports to that. One thing is for sure, manager ID null doesn't make sense because there should be this manager ID is nothing but the employee ID. If someone's having a manager ID null, that means it is not reporting to anyone and he's the top boss. Okay. So when you do that, let's just put a filter here. Here, manager ID is not null. Just put that filter. So we get manager ID and the direct reports. Cool. So this is the manager ID and this is the result. Now this manager ID is nothing but the employee ID that you have. Okay. Again, simple case, we can use CTs here. Okay. With uh, manager ID, sorry, manager and direct reports as. Okay. And select star from employee. Okay. That's a table. Inner join. How do you want to join it? I want to join it by this particular thing. Where employee ID. Inner join with this. Okay. Let's just call this E1 and let's just call this E2. Inner join on E1.id is equal to, it has to match with this manager ID. Correct? So E2 dot manager. That's it. Okay. So you got John and this is the name of the person and this is the ID of that person. He belongs to this department and he does not have any manager. One more thing that we did not check here is we want at least 5 direct reports, right? So we have to add a filter here. Having, what do you want to have? We want to have count ID has to be greater than or equal to 5. That is what the question says. And we don't need all of this. We just need name of the person. Correct? So let's just get name. U1 dot name. That's it. Okay. So plain and simple. This was the important part here. How do we get managers who are having direct reports? At least 5. That's how you get it. Once you know the manager ID, these manager IDs are nothing but the employee IDs or the employees who are having at least 5 direct reports. We directly join it with the employee table and we get the answer. Any questions in this? Take a look at this and let me know. एक और तरीका क्या है, if this with and everything feels complicated to you, okay? If this with and everything feels complicated to you, you can basically first of all get the manager IDs who are having the count greater than 5. Let's just do that. So this is what we need. Okay, let's just assume that we only need manager ID from there. Okay, ये बाकी इसको मैं comment करके रखता हूँ so that you can have. This is what we need. Now we know that this is going to return us all the managers who are having at least count greater than 5. Okay. Uh, if you think uh, this is the manager ID that we need. Okay. Let's just remove this count. We don't need this. So we want the employees. Okay. Focus here. So we want the employees whose ID is this. Okay. We want the employees whose ID is 101. We are interested in 101. We are not interested in the manager ID 101, but we are interested in 101 employee ID. So the ID in select start from employee where the ID is in this. That's all we need. Okay. And we basically need the name of the employee. So we don't even need everything. Where ID in. This is very similar to the department max salary, where we used in and then we had a subquery. Submit the section. All right. I think we can stop here and we can continue our discussion. We'll try to do a few more questions and then switch gears and start our major projects. All right. So I'll share the recording sometime.
ओके सर
Yeah.
आपने जो डिस्कॉर्ड पे भेजा है ना अपने मेजर ग्रुप के चैनल पे, ये क्या है?
हाँ, वो डिस्कॉर्ड ग्रुप पे जो मैंने भेजा है वो आपका जो मेजर प्रोजेक्ट का डेटा सेट है उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन. Okay.
ओके
So you can go ahead and start reading the database design for your major project. And then the file for the major project is basically the data file, the link to the data file that I sent you. So first read the database design. It will tell you आपका जो मेजर प्रोजेक्ट है उसमें क्या क्या कॉलम्स है, क्या क्या टेबल्स है, उसमें कुछ 30-40 टेबल्स रहेंगे. ठीक है, just go and familiarize yourself with those tables. ओके. डेटा बाद में देखना, पहले डिजाइन देख लो उसका कैसा है, व्हाट आर दे कनेक्टेड टू, एंड इट इज बेसिकली अ डेटा वेयरहाउस काइंड ऑफ अ सिस्टम. थिंक इट्स इन द स्नोफ्लेक स्कीमा स्कीमा वगैरह हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे इसके बारे में. ठीक है, इट्स जस्ट अ डेटाबेस टू यूज फॉर योर फाइनल डेटा फाइनल प्रोजेक्ट.
ओके सर.
Cool. चलो, बाय एवरीवन, आई विल सी यू ऑल इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन.
ओके सर, बाय सर.
बाय.